friends, and welcome to Beauty Boomer. My name is Rose, and if you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you're a new or a returning subscriber, I thank you so much for all your support. Today I'm just going to do a little get ready with me. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try this No Problem primer that we got in the BoxyCharm. Anyway, I don't know if you guys watched Shane Dawson's latest video, the one where he talks about with Brittani Louise Taylor. Now, I had no idea who she was till I saw his video, but I was so moved by her story that I went out and bought her book, and I started watching some of her videos, and she's just a really charming woman who does, I guess she's been on YouTube since 2009. So she really kind of grew up on the internet. And at any rate, the interview with her on Shane's channel was about her being basically kind of romance scammed, or, you know, in an abusive, controlling relationship with somebody who she met on the internet, who was totally fabricated basically his whole life. So it's a really fascinating story. But as I was watching that, it reminded me of when I was online dating, you know. So my case was I was 50 years old with an 8-year-old. Okay, so, you know, most of the men who were in my age range, their kids were grown. They weren't ready to hop on board and become a parent. I adopted my daughter as a single mother. So, you know, I had to be very specific about who I wanted to be in my life, because it would not only impact my life, but hers as well. At any rate, I did go online. I went on Match.com, and I did eventually meet my husband, who is just, he's as straight as 6 o'clock. He is just such a good man. But, you know, I had to kiss a lot. I had to kiss a lot of frogs, and I also had to be very cautious even before I met these people. So what I did was, you know, I would do my background checks on people. And I don't mean just looking at their Facebook page. What I would try to do is get as much information as I possibly could via email or texting before we ever met in person. And that really helped me sort things out as I was going along, and to the point where I even opened an Intellius account. And if you don't know what that is an account, a company that does background checks, and a lot of employers use them. And you know, so you kind of have to know a little bit. You have to know the name, the approximate age, and men lie about their age online too. So you know, sometimes they're not the age that they say they are. At any rate, you know, I think almost everybody knows someone who has been scammed or romance scammed or in an abusive relationship. So I was very cautious. And so a couple of the examples I'm going to give you. One person online, I'm going to try to keep talking and doing my makeup at the same time. They looked great on paper. You know, they were, you know, nice looking. They were a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker. And I thought that was really interesting. You know, so as we were communicating, we never met in person, but as we were communicating, I thought, well, I'm going to Google him because I love to watch PBS, and he said some of his stuff had been on PBS. So I Googled his name, and sure enough, you know, the first few things that came up on Google were about his films, and they were very interesting. I don't want to give this person's identity away, so I'm not going to say their name or the name of their films. So I thought, oh, wow, this guy seems so interesting, you know? So, you know, we're going back and forth via email at this point. And we had made a tentative date of when we were going to get together and meet in person. But I went back online, and I went back on Google, and I scrolled a little bit further. And as I got down further in the line of things with people with that same name, I saw this post that somebody with his name had been incarcerated for attempted murder. And at first I kind of laughed. I was like, oh, I wonder how many times, you know, like people thought, oh, this, wow, you have the same name as this guy, right? Well, the more I looked into it, the more I realized that they were one and the same. Okay, but that because of his artistic endeavors, it was buried further down. So, you know, what was interesting though was when I contacted him and I said I could no longer, you know, was no longer interested in meeting him because of the information that I found out. He tried to turn it around and kind of gaslight me that, you know, I worshipped at the, what did he say? I worshipped at the altar of Google and all this other stuff. And I was like, seriously, dude, almost killed someone, okay? So, so that's just one cautionary tale. There were others too. So I just really want you guys, if you are online dating, to be careful and do your due diligence before you meet anybody. In Brittani's experience, she was what they call love bombed. And that is when somebody just comes on so strong with the texting and the cards and calling you dear and sweetheart, and you haven't even met yet, right? So that was like, you know, but she was naive. She didn't know, you know, that was one of the kind of tricks of the trade of what these people do. And it happens to men too. This is not an event that only happens to women. Men get romance scammed all the time as well. So I don't want this in any way to you to feel that I'm bashing or anything like that, the men, because there are a lot of women out there scamming men as well. So so then I met another person online, and this person was trying to tell me that they had been born in South Africa, but their parents died and they were raised by their grandparents in Ohio. On their profile said that they dealt in the arts and trading, I think African art, and their name was Don Martin. Okay, so I go online and you know, the person on their profile said the city they lived, and I typed in their name and nothing came up, you know, nothing, you know, not yellow pages, nothing came up with this person's name. So I typed in, you know, Don Martin Art Gallery, Don Martin Art Dealer, Don Martin African Art. So again, it was just coming up empty. But the one thing that I know for sure now is Don Martin created Mad Magazine. So I thought that was kind of funny. So when I had lived in Washington, D.C., one of my best friends there ran the South Africa desk for the Commerce Department. So I had some South African art. And when this person emailed me, and I emailed them back talking about this very specific type of sculpture that is only found in Zimbabwe. They never, when they emailed me back, they never mentioned it. They never said how interesting that you have a piece of this art. They just kind of skipped over that whole part, but their email kind of read like a romance novel. It was weird. It was, I think you're beautiful, and I think we're soulmates, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I haven't met you, and you don't know me, you know? So that was kind of a red flag. So I went on this website called Romance Scam, because I just had a feeling something was up. Something's not right, you know, because they're not having an actual conversation. They're trying to be something for me to fall in love with, or think that I'm in love with. So I went on this site, and what I found out is that these people, they go on modeling websites, acting websites, and things like that, and they cut out pictures of very good-looking people, and then they make a bio. So I started scrolling, and sure enough, the picture of the person that they said they were was on there. So not only were they lying to me, but they were stealing somebody's identity. So that just was like a huge wake-up call too. I was like, dang, you know, you just have to be so careful of the people that you meet. So long story short, excuse me, I met my husband, but in the process of all of this, I read a great book, and I think it is one of the best books out there for people who are dating online or dating at all. And women of all ages should read this book. And believe it or not, it is Steve Harvey's Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. That book really spelled so many things out for me about how men operate. And I thought, well, you know what? By this time now, I'm like 52, okay? So that's how long it's taken me to kind of go through on Match.com. And, you know, I did date a couple of people for 2 or 3 months and then realized that, you know, they weren't going to go the distance. So I read his book, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do everything that the book says. And if you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't and you're single, I highly recommend reading this book. What was funny was that, you know, the way Steve Harvey describes how if a man is into you, the things that he will do. And my husband did all those things, you know, like check. And like I said, I'm not going to go into detail because I really want you to read the book if you're out there looking, or if you know somebody who's having trouble, you know, with relationships and finding, you know, the right person. So anyway, long story short, we dated for a year, we were engaged for a year, and then we've been married now for 6.5 years. So let me know in the comments below if you have, you know, just leave a heart if you have been romance scammed or in a relationship that's been abusive, or you know somebody who has, because I think the numbers are greater than we know, because people are afraid to talk about things. They feel ashamed. But I think the more we talk about these issues and bring these topics to light, that the less stories like Brittani we're going to hear, because women will be educated. So that is all. Let me know if you like this type of story time video, this type of get ready with me video, and maybe I can do some more of them. I will link Brittani's book down below. If you're interested in her story, please buy it, download it, and read it, and support her in that way. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!